Personally, it wasn't at a very young age. It actually started just a couple of years ago till I found my passion. I've been dancing all my life, like since the age of 3, but it was more recreational. It was more for fun. And it wasn't until I started auditioning in college because I knew I wanted to dance, but not professionally. And I just realized at the audition that there were so many dancers in the room who wanted to be artists, and I decided to actually pursue it because it was a God-given gift. And ever since then, I've actually developed my passion for it, and I love it to this day.
I developed my passion for dance quite early. I would say probably early childhood. My mother enrolled me in dance class at the age of 8. It was her idea, and I'm still thanking her to this day. At first, I was a little not looking forward to it, but I took my first class and I just fell in love. It was the perfect combination of physical activity and art. So I've just been going at it ever since.
My story is quite similar to Tommy. I began dancing at age 8. My father actually enrolled me to a place called the Community Book and Dance Academy by a woman. She owned it. Her name was Linda Ajapong, and she taught me a lot of things about performance and etiquette, and since then I have been pretty involved in the arts.
There were many inspirations throughout my little dance life. Because my mother was an ex-dancer, she was one of my inspirations. She was dancing all over and touring, and I was able to come with her and view all the other dancers that I know, like Panika Jones, Ty Jimenez. The list goes on and on and on. And I was always surrounded by various artists and knew that's what I wanted to look like eventually, and just looking at their professionalism, their concentration, and their drive to be successful and do whatever they wanted to do.
Some of my earliest influences were Ethan Stiefel from the American Ballet Theater and Clifton Brown of the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater. I also, when I started taking Graham technique, the combination of Graham and ballet really influenced me as an artist and definitely helped me to find my own vision and my own voice.
Many of my influences were by authors. I read a lot. My dance teacher encouraged me to read a lot. People like Maya Angelou and James Baldwin, being historic. The history of our ancestry, African American, being able to speak and say something, it taught me a lot about having a voice, and translating that through the dance, it has been really interesting for me. Inspirations that are dancers have been people like Ricardo Zayas. He dances with Alonzo King, Jamar Roberts, Clifton Brown, Matthew Rushing, many of the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater legacy people, and Desmond Richardson. All of the people who have made a mark on history have been pretty informative and inspirational for me.
It would have to be, of course, they were very supportive of my choice, but a lot of the sacrifices they did make were investing time and money to take me to different summer programs, going to Dance Theater of Harlem, going to Boston Ballet, Jacob's Pillow. All of those things require time and traveling and a lot of money to invest in these things, but they were investments, so they ended up being something useful and something to add on my resume to help me networking with others. So I'd probably have to say time and money would be the biggest investment and biggest sacrifice they have made.
I'd have to agree. Besides the financial aspect of how much it costs to have a child interested in taking dance professionally, my mother would drive me to Ailey from South Brooklyn, almost every day of the week, and she would sit in the car and wait for the meter parking. She had a comforter in the back, so in the winter she would like warm herself up and turn the heat on for 10 minutes and shut it off for 10 minutes. And we really bonded during that time, and she gave up a lot of time with my younger siblings, and just time being a housewife to drive me here and just to pursue what I love.
Very similar story to Tommy again. Um, I think a lot of the sacrifices that were made were within our family life. I had two brothers. I'm the middle, and when I really began to get engaged in the arts, it took up our entire weekend. We were always at the studio performing. At the time, my older brother used to take classes with me, so it was beneficial for the two of us. But my younger brother was just not interested in doing anything. So for a great deal of time, it was really a lot of focus put on me and my older brother, and that has its downs and all the sacrifices. However, they also put forth a lot of money and a lot of time as well. When I came here for the first time, my mom gave me her credit card, which was not a good idea, and I still think about that, and it was really nice. It was great for that one time only, and that's what we have. So.
What is the difference and what are some of the similarities between training for a company like Ailey as opposed to training for like a street dance group?
So one of the similarities between both of them is that you have to take class and you have to gain technique. A lot of the material when you go to auditions, they speak the same language in terms of, okay, movement, I need you to bend your arm here, I need you to do a plie, I need you to run and jump. You need to know what certain dance languages are. So that's one of the similarities, that everything is universal and you must train, go to class, get your technique in order to audition and be in companies. One of the differences are with concert dance, it's more based on your technique. You need to show off line, you need to show off more of your body in terms of feet, hands and things like that. In street dancing, it's more commercial, it's more about the face, it's more about your visual appearance and sex appeal. If you're trying to entertain or work with a different artist, such as Beyonce or any other musical artist out there, there's different styles of dancing that you would have to partake in versus concert dance.
A big difference is in concert dance, in addition to what Daphne said, is that concert dance requires the dancer to learn combinations and pick them up almost instantly. A teacher in a ballet class will probably show the bar combination once, maybe if they're nice, twice, and at an audition, they'll probably teach you a 2-minute phrase, and you have about 5 to 10 minutes to learn it and pick it up and, be able to make corrections as quickly as you can. And I think that that's probably one of the biggest differences between commercial and concert dance. Commercial dance and street dance is more improvisational, I would say.
I think commercial dance and street dance, I think they're great because it's dance and it's for the people. I think when we perform, it's usually at a venue, it's usually an event, it's usually you go into the theater, you sit down, they turn off the lights, you get ready, we put on a show. Whereas my experiences with street dance has been, I could be on the street literally and see the dance. So it's out in the public, it's a bit more confrontational, and the way we interact with our audiences are different. We are taught to bring the audiences in by being familiar with ourselves, by projecting our own imagery into our dance, by directing our energies in a way that is artistic, but in a way that does not dash out at, the audience. So, like, if we're smiling, we're supposed to be enjoying ourselves so that the audience can enjoy it as well, not so that we're trying to make them laugh. Whereas, although there are always instances where things blend and they meld, so this isn't for certain, but it's just the venue and how we interact with everyone.
There's been plenty of times when you're in the rehearsal studio and we're just going off, or we have like a 5-minute break and somebody specifically this one, he'll be twirling in the corner doing 10 pirouettes, and we're all like, oh, no, 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 I can do 20. I'm going to do more turns than you, or we're jumping, and we go across the floor seeing who can jump the highest, who could, have a bigger leap. There's always friendly competition in there, which is also positive energy. And for me personally, it just uplifts everyone because you're only as strong as your weakest person. So if, everyone in the company is doing 3 turns, okay, let's try aim for 4 now. Let's try continue jumping higher, doing more stretches. Let's do a tilt here. Let's try add different things. So it's very friendly, but it's also a lot of fun. And just to mess around with your dancers in the studio is always awesome.
Friendly competition has definitely been a huge, part of fueling my fire. It definitely, gives me that kick in the rear end to, make sure that I'm working as hard as I possibly can and to just, constantly work to improve, technically, physically, and artistically. And, I work with 11 amazing artists, and they definitely push me to always want more for myself and want more for my career.
I think that friendly energy is amazing. I know for myself, performing on stage, especially as you could imagine, we might get tired sometimes. So then I'm dancing and it's like, okay. But then I'll feel this energy on the side of the stage of someone going so full out, and it's like, okay, wait, what are you doing? You have never done that before. So when that happens, it's thrilling for me. It kind of pushes me. I don't think so much of it as a competition, but it's more of a surprise, a friendly surprise, and it's like, oh, that is amazing. Or you're doing something and you're arching with someone, and they're arching further than you, and I'm not mad that you're arching further than me, but it's like, oh, we can take this a little further. So then it feels like we can all excel together.
Piggybacking off of that answer, so what motivates you guys to continue to go over the basics and to even elevate in your craft? Because sometimes, you can get to the point where like, okay, what else could I really learn? Where do you guys pull, new inspiration from, new motivation?
I'm going to work on my feet, or I'm going to work on pretending I'm in a different environment while I'm doing a piece. So I never get bored doing the same piece over and over. There's always so many things that will inspire me to keep going. And like I said, among the 11 dancers I work with, there's always something I see differently. There's always something I'm willing to try. And even just, waking up and looking outside, and it's just like, okay, today's so beautiful. Why can't I reflect that in one of the pieces I'm working on? So there's always things that inspire me around.
Like any other art form, I believe that dance has to evolve, and the only way to evolve the art form is to go back to the basics, understand the basics, and push for the future. You can't be anywhere without your prior experience. So if you look back at the people who have come before you and acknowledge what they've done, you can learn from them, bring that into your own artistic vision, and push forward for the future, and just encourage, the next generation to push even more and to develop new movement styles and, new abilities and a greater understanding of technique as a whole.
Okay. Our director, Mr. Powell, he always tells us that as a performer, we have to create our own legacy. So keeping that in mind is really vital. Similar to what Tommy said about going back to the basics and growing from that, I think that education is very important for the artist. Education in all of the humanities, as well as the different dance forms, because it can contribute to you when you least expect it. You just have a wider base, a wider tool, and a huge vocabulary by which to approach the movement. And so I think just education, inspiration, and a sense that it's okay to abstract something. Like looking at a photograph and I'm facing this way, and you can face this way, and then you can do this, and then it just continues to switch. So just by finding the different degrees of abstraction and extremes and elevation within ourselves, I think is really important as it helps us to grow and develop.
Um, there's so many things. This is why I'm trying to think and come up with things. But for the next generation, what has helped me was by observing as much as I can, going through the experience itself. But I've observed and observed and watched and watched and watched and watched what I want to become, watch what I want to do, and just, you have to put yourself in it. You have to see yourself in the position of where you want to be, and that's already half the battle. The rest is putting in the work, putting in the time, and then last but not least, just keeping the faith, staying humble, and just really praying on it and taking it from there.
The best advice I could give to the next generation is to really is to have a knowledge of what's going on in dance, to observe what's going on, to see performances, to get out into the city and take as many classes and just see as many dancers, and then most importantly is to go home and reflect on what you saw and reflect on what you experienced and try to find their strength in you and really look inside yourself, look inside your soul, and find what makes you beautiful and find what makes you strong and feel powerful, and really remind yourself of that every morning when you wake up and when you're on your way to work or on your way to school. Remind yourself of why you do what you love and how powerful you are when you are doing what makes you happy.
Stole the words from my mouth. Absolutely. I think beauty, reminding ourselves to always be within a state of grace and just remembering that we're just blessed to be alive and within, all of this magnificence. I think when we lose sight of that, then it can be a little bit down there. So just letting it be beautiful and remembering like the story of the ugly duckling which becomes a swan, just keeping that in mind. These things happen, and just follow that power and always try to be much stronger than you were yesterday, and next year you can be much stronger than you were. So each thing is intended to make us stronger, and by pushing forward with that, then it's never going to be the end.
I know I do, yes. I do feel responsible because so many people came before you to get a higher standard, to make the piece better, to have a better connection with audience members, and you want to continue to pass that down. And I remember Mr. Powell saying you want to keep the integrity of all the pieces too. You don't want to change what was put into that work of choreographing the movement. You want to actually translate it to the people and really uphold that legacy. So I do feel responsible.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I mean, I think as a professional, one of the words that we hear the most is integrity, integrity, integrity. And, that means just keeping the legacy and keeping it and helping it develop and helping it to grow because, Revelations has been performed for over 50 years on 6 continents out of the 7. And it's important to keep it fresh and keep it alive, but to still know what it's about and to know, where it comes from and why it was created and why it's so important.
Sorry, I forgot one more thing. But I also forget that with audience members, it's also it could be their first time seeing Alvin Ailey. So you want to keep those pieces fresh and keep them new because you never know if it's someone's first time seeing it.
Yes, I feel responsible for upholding the legacy. I think that each generation has to come and make it better or just, sustain it and allow it to develop. So I think if we slack, then the next generation can only go but so much further. So as far as bringing us further and to higher ground, I think we have a lot of work to do, and it's a huge responsibility, actually. And we have to maintain our bodies, our spiritual mind, and we must do our best, the best of our ability at all times.
Our job to give a voice to responsible people like yourself. So with a platform like that for dance, what do you feel dancers should be using you hear what the masses be hearing from dancers, and not all just complaints, but just what should everybody be saying universally as one?
I think universally we should all be engaging in the world of dance. We should all engage in the rhythm of life. And I think without learning the grace of dance, without learning how to move, we will never be really happy because our bodies are integral to our happiness. So just finding, it's like dance is like a yoga, it's like a religion, it's like something to really come to every day to align ourselves, to strengthen ourselves, and to develop. And I mean, you might not have to do dance, but something of physical value needs to be placed more within our society to help us develop and to, help us learn to read our bodies and understand ourselves a little bit better. So creating a greater awareness is really important. I think, of course, there can be, I don't think many people know the joy that dance can bring. Like the people that I have invited to shows have never, some of them have never seen dance and they enjoy themselves. And of course, I think, oh, why have you never seen a show? But the culture that we live in, it doesn't quite say, come see this show. It's very rare, and most of the things are on TV. And I think that a lot of the television shows are doing a good job with bringing dance out, although it's a bit more commercialized and it's not exactly what we do, but it does a good way of letting the people know that dance is going on. And when they do see us, then they do recognize different caliber that we do, and it is great. But I think people just need to get out of their houses, out of the couches, and into the theater, into the galleries, into even the streets on the outside, and just, be with nature, be with the people, and once again find that rhythm, that steadiness, find that sense of musicality of life and that zest for life. I think is really important.
In addition to everything you said, making aware of how hard dancers work. You always see football players and athletes get so much attention, and as dancers, our job is to make things look easy, and they don't realize the blood, sweat, and tears we go through 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, on tour, internationally, all the work we put into it. And I wish that was more aware, like in regular public audiences' eye, they can see that. Also getting rid of stereotypes. There's so many stereotypes about dancers, about male dancers, female dancers, black ballerinas, companies. There's so many stereotypes that need to be bashed, and the truth actually needs to come out about dancers, which is one of the reasons I love doing interviews, because I love to educate audiences about what I do. And, being educated in dance and having a degree in dance, and not many people knowing what that means and where it can go, and people having doubts about the dance world. There's so many things that needs to be corrected in the dance world, and not everyone gets to see that, even though we do have more exposure of dance in the media.
Unlike other art forms, dance, music you hear, art you see, but dance you really experience at home, leave your bed, go to a theater, sit in a seat with strangers around you, and experience what's going on the stage. You see it, you feel it, you hear it. It requires every sense that you have. And the reason why dance is such an experience is because those dancers on the stage are extremely disciplined. From the moment that they take their first class, I feel discipline is the first thing that they should learn. Like any other physical activity, you have to understand how the body works, and you have to understand common courtesy in a classroom. And I think that that's one of the most valuable lessons that dance offers, is the discipline that comes with it. They go hand in hand. The best dancers are the ones that are at the theater early, warming themselves up, getting themselves prepared physically, mentally, emotionally, and it's important that people understand what goes into the beauty that you see, because it's physical and it's athletic, and just because there's no points awarded and there's no winner at the end of the performance, it's just as physical, and it requires just as much discipline and hard work.
The other day I thought to myself when I was on the elevator, I live in Washington Heights, so in order to leave the train station we have to get on the elevator. And oftentimes people, they just run into you, they bump into you, and they never quite know how to fit in the elevator. And being a dancer is so easy for me to gauge the space and just squeeze on in, or I can sense when someone's going to run into me, so that I'm walking and I just go like this so that I don't get hit. Most people, that doesn't even I'm not sure if they know, but they just walk in and run right into you. But being in dance and working with different patterns and being spatially aware, you will never run. Like, of course, we're clumsy and we do things, but as far as being able to protect ourselves, our reactions are much better, and just things just make a lot more sense. The traffic people might drive a little better, have, if they know how to dance. Like, you just know how to move in space, and you can feel the space around you a little bit more, I think.
Who would you guys like to thank? I know your journey is far, thus far. Who would you like to thank?
Ooh, the list is too long. No. My main, of course, God, and my family for making their sacrifices, praying for me, and taking the time to get me where I needed to be. Family, and then also the people I dance for. I dedicate every show to someone different in my life, and my friends are really there to support, but they also encourage me as well. So there's so many people, so many people.
Um, I'd like to thank my mother. She really, I believe, put me on a path to greatness, and she really made this possible. And, I don't know where I'd be if she didn't have, the greatest idea she's probably ever had, which was to really put me in dance class. And she really gave me a really special gift.
I would like to thank my mom, my dad, my brothers, my entire family. I'd like to thank every single person who has ever inspired me, encouraged me, who has even said hello to me on a day where I've been a bit gloomy. I would like to thank, did I say my teachers? I would like to thank every single teacher that I've had, even the ones where I've just misbehaved and they think I didn't learn anything, because those lessons are still with me. But I think everyone who has shaped me, I think is very important.
And on behalf of all our, yeah, I was gonna say on behalf of everyone, also this organization. If I didn't get accepted here, I don't know, I may be on a different path. So this whole building, for shaping me into the dancer I have today, and hopefully I continue on a journey with them as well.
I must also say, there was a woman, she passed away some time ago, Miss Denise Jefferson. She was the director of the Ailey School, and she was the most phenomenal person I have met to date. When I met her, when I auditioned for the junior division, I felt like I had found a place where I could be home. And I felt such a warm sense of welcome from her. And I think had I not felt that, I definitely would not be here today, and I wouldn't have pursued it had I not felt the generosity and openness that she inspired in me and that she gave me. So,
Thank you.